Imagine an ocean without light, a world before the age of dinosaurs, where primitive life forms still fought for supremacy in the seas. The depths were teeming with strange creatures, some with bodies covered in metallic plates, others with powerful jaws and eyes adapted to the darkness. In this submerged empire, even before sharks dominated the waters, there existed a hunter whose jaws could crush even steel. He was the first true tyrant of the oceans, a prehistoric monster so powerful that no other known animal seemed capable of facing him. His name, Dunkleosteus. We are about 380 million years ago, in a period known as the Devonian, or the Age of Fishes. It was a time when the seas covered much of the earth, and life on the continents was still taking its first steps out of the water. If you could dive into those oceans, you wouldn't see whales or modern sharks. You would see shapes that seemed to come from another world. Among them, Dunkleosteus reigned supreme. Measuring approximately 10 meters in length and weighing nearly 4 tons, this predator was the largest fish on the planet in its time, and one of the most formidable in all of prehistoric history. Its body was armored by thick, bony plates, like the armor of a medieval knight. Its jaws were composed not of teeth, but of razor-sharp, bony blades. And its bite, according to biomechanical studies, could generate a force of more than 6,000 newtons, enough to pierce shells and crush bones with ease. He wasn't as fast as modern predators, but he was a living fortress, a war tank designed by evolution for destruction. In the Devonian period, the world was completely different. Coral and sponge forests formed dazzling underwater cities. Winged insects began to appear on land, and the first amphibians experienced the transition between sea and land. But in the seas, the king of the abyss was unquestionably Dunkleosteus. It belonged to a group of extinct fish called placoderms, literally armored fish, which dominated the oceans for millions of years before mysteriously disappearing. These animals represented an intermediate stage of evolution, neither as primitive as the first jawless fish, nor as modern as today's sharks or rays. Dunkleosteus was the pinnacle of this group, and wherever there was marine life, there he was, hunting. Try to imagine its attack mode. It swam slowly, watching the ocean floor. Its large eyes, adapted to low-light environments, caught even the slightest movements around it. When it located its prey, usually bony fish, giant arthropods, or other placoderms, it advanced with deadly silence. With a swift movement, its jaws would open completely in just 60 milliseconds. The vacuum created by the sudden opening of its mouth sucked the prey straight into its throat. And then, the coop, the bony plates closed like a guillotine. No shell, no carapace could resist. Experts believe that Dunkleosteus fed on practically anything, including other Dunkleosteus. Fossils show bite marks on skulls of the species itself, revealing a cannibalistic and territorial creature. Each hunt was a demonstration of strength, each bite a sentence. Dunkleosteus fossils have been recovered from locations such as North America and North Africa, regions that, during the Devonian period, were bordered by shallow tropical seas. There is not much direct evidence of its behavior, but anatomical analyses suggest that it could dive to greater depths where sunlight barely reached. In the twilight of those seas, his armor reflected just enough light to intimidate adversaries, but not to alert his prey. He was a hunter who mastered both silence and darkness. Some scientists place Dunkleosteus among the first animals to occupy the absolute top of the marine food chain. From birth to death, there were no natural predators to challenge it. It devoured, and the Devonian world bowed to its voracity. But the reign of Dunkleosteus and his relatives did not last forever. For reasons not yet fully understood, all placoderms disappeared about 360 million years ago, at the end of the Devonian period. This disappearance was so sudden that scientists compare it to a mini-mass extinction, one of the 5 major biological crises in Earth's history. The collapse of marine ecosystems altered the course of evolution. With the placoderms extinct, new groups of fish evolved to occupy the space they left behind. This marked the beginning of the era of primitive sharks. The armored giant was replaced by more agile, less resistant, but more flexible predators, a change that reflected the transformation of the entire planet. It was the end of the tank era, the beginning of the era of aerodynamic hunters. The question remains, what killed the most feared predator of the Devonian period? The causes of the extinction of placoderms, and by extension, of Dunkleosteus, are still debated. One of the most widely accepted hypotheses points to abrupt changes in sea levels and reductions in oxygen in deep waters, phenomena that have devastated food chains. With less oxygen, there is less plankton. Without plankton, there are no small prey. And without prey, even the largest predators succumb. Another theory suggests that the advancement of evolved toothed fish, the first modern sharks and bony fish, eventually rendered Dunkleosteus's hunting style obsolete. While the armored hunter was slow and relied on ambushes, these new species were fast, adaptable, and thrived in environments the armored hunter could not reach. In the end, the Lord of the Seas was not killed by a rival. He was defeated by evolution itself. Dunkleosteus fossils are rare, in part because its body was composed mostly of cartilage, which decomposes easily. Typically, only the bony plates of the skull and jaw are found. Still, these fragments were enough to reconstruct the terrifying portrait of this titan. Museums around the world display enormous replicas of his skull, and, when seen up close, they still evoke the same feeling they must have provoked in all the creatures that encountered it: fear. Dunkleosteus's eyes were protected by bony rings, a rare feature. This indicates advanced vision, capable of detecting changes in light, movement, and contrast. It literally saw in the dark. For the Devonian fauna, this made it the equivalent of a nocturnal hunter among unprotected prey. That's why some paleontologists call Dunkleosteus the predator that hunted in the dark, a title as literal as it is poetic. It was the invisible terror even before there was night. The legacy of Dunkleosteus did not disappear with it. Much of the marine dynamics we know today were established in its time. The concept of the super-predator, a being that rules an entire ecosystem, began with it. Giant predators like modern sharks, orcas, and crocodiles follow the model that Dunkleosteus inaugurated: powerful strength, territorial control, and total dominance. Each bite of a modern great white shark echoes, in a way, that biological saw that Dunkleosteus carried in its mouth. It was the first embodiment of raw power in the ocean. Dunkleosteus is more than just a fossil from the past. It represents a golden chapter in the history of life, a time when nature tested the limits of strength and form. In a still young world, where light barely penetrated the waters and evolution stumbled along, this monster proved that ferocity can be a form of perfection. Today, its fossilized plates are silent echoes of a legendary hunter. But if we could delve back into the Devonian period and see that colossus with our own eyes, perhaps we would understand the true meaning of standing face to face with fear. Because for everything that lived in that forgotten era, Dunkleosteus was synonymous with the end. It was the disaster that came from the darkness, the thunder that opened its jaws, and with each bite, prehistory trembled. Dunkleosteus disappeared almost 360 million years ago, but its legend still lives on, in rocks, in museums, and in the imagination of those who tried to glimpse the terror of encountering it in the depths. It was the first true king of the seas, the hunter who hunted in the dark, and the symbol of an era when the ocean belonged only to the strong. Now tell me, if you were standing before him in the underwater twilight, Would you believe you had a chance? Or would you wait in the darkness for the inevitable? Write your answer in the comments. If this journey into the past of the seas impressed you, leave a like so that more people can learn about the history of the monsters that shaped the planet. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because in the next chapter, we'll meet another submerged tyrant, the shark that defied even time, the helicoprion, the fish with the spiral jaw,